Welcome to this deep dive
Okay.
into mastering the mental side of trading.
Okay.
Something I think we can all relate to.
Absolutely.
You've shared some really intriguing material from YVAN BYEAJEE's book,
Right.
Trading Composure, along with his bio.
Yeah.
So let's get right into it.
Let's do it.
We're going to be exploring his core concepts, which are uncertainty, composure, and accountability, and see how they can apply to you.
Sounds good.
And just to grab your attention from the start, BYEAJEE shares this great anecdote about being on a silent meditation retreat
Okay.
and having a spider settle down right on his lap.
Oh, wow.
Not exactly what you call Zen, right?
Definitely adds a new layer of challenge to the whole mindfulness thing.
That's just it. So BYEAJEE uses this experience and a few others to illustrate how learning to handle discomfort is key, whether it's a spider or a sudden market drop.
I like it.
But before we go any further, it is worth noting that this is BYEAJEE's personal take on trading psychology.
Yeah.
So you might find other approaches out there too. Now, his story in itself is a wild ride.
Oh, yeah.
Drawn to trading as a teenager in a very chaotic home environment, he saw it as a path to control.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Early on, though, he had some serious losses that pushed him to a very dark place.
It's a stark reminder of how deeply trading can impact us emotionally. You know, it's not just numbers on a screen.
Yeah,
It really taps into our hopes, our fears, our sense of self-worth.
absolutely.
It can be very challenging.
And he is incredibly candid about this.
Yeah.
He talks about struggling with suicidal thoughts after those initial losses.
Wow.
But here's the turning point.
Okay.
He finds his way back through meditation and a journey of self-discovery,
Yeah.
and realizes that mindset is just as critical as any trading strategy.
That's huge.
In fact, you could have the best system in the world,
Right.
but if your head's not in the right place,
Yeah.
well, you're likely to sabotage yourself.
Absolutely. And,
Yeah.
you know, he has a unique background, too.
Yeah.
He dropped out of high school,
Yeah.
bounced between different jobs before he finally dove headfirst into trading.
Yeah,
So that makes him relatable to a lot of people who don't fit that typical trader mold.
definitely does. So before we break down his ideas further, I'm curious, what is it about composure that resonates with you in your own trading journey?
Yeah.
What are you hoping to gain from this deep dive?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Take a moment to think about that.
Okay.
Now, BYEAJEE differentiates between uncertainty and risk,
Yes.
which most people tend to lump together.
Right.
So how does he define uncertainty?
So he defines uncertainty as those situations where the future is just hazy.
Yeah.
We simply don't have enough information to make a guaranteed prediction.
Okay.
And that's true in life as much as in trading.
It's like that fog of war idea. Even with the best intelligence, unexpected things can pop up and change the entire game.
Exactly, to illustrate how markets function under this cloud of uncertainty.
Yeah.
BYEAJEE uses a clever analogy of a room with a painting.
Okay.
So let's say you own this painting and others want to buy it.
Yeah.
The price they offer reflects their beliefs about what it will be worth in the future.
So it's like a mini market based entirely on speculation and individual opinions.
Precisely, someone might offer you more than you're asking
Yeah.
because they're convinced that that painting's value is just going to skyrocket.
Yeah.
Someone else might lowball you because they're not so sure.
Okay.
And this constant dance of expectations plays out on a grand scale in real markets with millions of participants driven by just countless factors.
It sounds chaotic.
It can be.
Yep.
And BYEAJEE argues that shorter time frames like day trading actually amplify our emotional reactions to this uncertainty. The feedback loop is so rapid that you barely have time to think rationally.
Yeah, it's kind of like trying to drive through a blizzard at 100 miles an hour, a recipe for disaster.
A perfect analogy.
Mhm.
And here's where BYEAJEE challenges the over-reliance on technical analysis.
Okay.
Remember those chart patterns everyone looks for?
Yeah.
He ran an experiment where he created a chart from 500 coin flips.
Okay.
Pure randomness.
Yeah.
Guess what?
I mean, guess patterns still
You
emerged.
got a descending triangles, double bottoms, even head and shoulders formations, all from random coin flips.
Wow. So is he saying that technical analysis is useless?
Not quite, but he's highlighting that patterns can emerge even in random data.
Yeah.
It's a call for humility, for understanding that uncertainty is baked into the market.
Okay.
This doesn't mean that we ditch analysis altogether, but we need to acknowledge its limitations and not cling to it as a crystal ball.
So how do we navigate this reality of inherent uncertainty?
That's where BYEAJEE's FACE principle comes in.
Okay.
It's a framework for not just tolerating uncertainty, but using it to make better decisions.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What does FACE stand for?
It stands for fully embracing reality. appreciating the statistical nature of trading, centering on survival and easing the prediction paradigm.
Wow.
It's about shifting your focus from trying to outsmart the market to mastering your own process and reactions.
Okay, so the first element is fully embracing reality. What does that look like in practice for a trader?
It means acknowledging that uncertainty is a constant companion. No matter how much research you do or how sophisticated your system is, the market will always have unknown factors that you just can't control.
So it's about accepting that you won't be right all the time.
Exactly. Humility is key.
Okay.
And, it's not about lacking confidence. It's about recognizing the limits of our knowledge and control.
Yeah.
The markets will do what they do, and our job is to navigate that reality, not fight it.
That is a tough pill to swallow for many traders who want to believe they have some secret edge for guaranteed wins.
It's the illusion of control.
Yeah.
BYEAJEE argues that focusing on what you can control, your entry and exit points, your risk management, and your own behavior is far more powerful than trying to predict every market move.
So it's about shifting from trying to outsmart the market to mastering your own process.
Absolutely. And that leads us to appreciating the statistical nature of trading.
Okay.
Think of it this way. You can have a winning strategy,
Yeah.
but you won't win every trade.
Right.
Trading is about playing the probabilities,
Okay.
focusing on the long game,
Yeah.
and not getting swept up in the emotional roller coaster of individual wins and losses.
To really drive this point home, BYEAJEE suggests some exercises like the coin flip and the card betting game.
Yes.
I'd love to hear more about these and how they can help our listener.
So the coin flip exercise is a fantastic way to grasp the concept of expected value.
Okay.
You flip a coin, and for every heads you win $2, but for every tails you lose $1.
Sounds simple enough, but I bet things get interesting when real money is involved.
Definitely. You start seeing streaks of wins and losses, and it becomes clear that even with a positive expected value, rough patches are inevitable.
Okay.
And this mirrors the experience of trading, where a profitable strategy doesn't guarantee a smooth upward trajectory.
So it's a controlled environment to experience the natural ebb and flow of trading without the emotional baggage of real market swings.
Exactly. What about the card betting game?
Yeah, that one sounds a bit more intense.
It is that this exercise emphasizes risk management.
Okay.
You bet on drawing a red or black card.
Mm-hmm.
Winning gets you $3, losing costs you $1.
Okay.
But here's the catch. If you draw a joker, you're down $15.
Oh.
And a second joker stings with a $30 loss.
Ouch. That simulates the reality that a few big losses can wipe out a string of smaller wins, regardless of how good your overall strategy is.
Precisely. It forces you to think about position sizing and protecting your capital even when you're on a winning streak.
So the beauty of these exercises is that they transform these abstract concepts into tangible experiences.
Yeah.
It's not just reading about it, you're feeling it.
And feeling is understanding.
Right.
The next element of the FACEE principle is centering on survival,
Okay.
which is all about prioritizing the preservation of your capital over chasing big profits. It's about not blowing up your account rather than getting rich quick.
And he uses his experience managing a fund as an example. He's very upfront with investors, telling them he's not in the business of predicting the market perfectly, which is a very refreshing approach.
It is. He focuses on identifying potential trends
Yeah.
and managing risk carefully. He accepts he'll be wrong at times and has systems in place to protect himself when that happens.
Okay.
It's a much more sustainable and less stressful approach
Yeah.
than constantly trying to hit home runs.
It's interesting how this contrasts with a lot of the hype in the trading world, especially on social media, where everyone's peddling the holy grail system for guaranteed wins.
It's a trap.
Yeah.
BYEAJEE cautions against blindly following others and emphasizes developing your own process and sticking to it regardless of all the noise and hype around you.
So it's about being independent, trusting your own judgment, and not getting swayed by the crowd.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that what works for one trader
Yeah.
might not work for another.
Makes sense. Now, how does this tie into his stance on technical analysis and order flow?
So BYEAJEE isn't saying that those tools are useless.
Okay.
He's emphasizing the importance of understanding their limitations.
Yeah.
They're not crystal balls, and relying solely on them without considering the broader context
Yeah.
can lead to trouble.
So it's about seeing the bigger picture and using those tools as part of a holistic approach, rather than relying on them as the sole source of truth.
Right, and sometimes seeing the bigger picture means stepping away from the charts and screens altogether.
Yeah.
Especially when you have active trades, it's about disconnecting from the constant information overload and noise to gain clarity and perspective.
And this is where his emphasis on mindfulness comes into play.
Exactly.
He's a strong advocate for meditation as a way to train your mind to stay focused and calm, even amidst the chaos of the markets.
He even talks about how technology overuse can damage our attention spans and make it harder to be present in the moment.
This is so relatable today.
Oh, yeah.
We are constantly bombarded with the notifications and updates.
Yes.
It's easy to get sucked into that vortex of distraction.
It's like a default setting for our brains when we have a few minutes of downtime.
Yeah, and what's happening in those moments?
Yeah.
You're essentially training your mind to seek out constant stimulation and instant gratification.
Right.
It's like junk food for the brain.
Exactly. And that type of mental conditioning is the opposite of what you need for successful trading.
Right.
Trading requires patience, discipline, and the ability to delay gratification.
Absolutely. So he's advocating for more conscious technology use.
Yes.
Particularly when it comes to trading. He suggests setting limits, creating boundaries, and being mindful of how technology is impacting your mental state.
Be intentional.
Yeah, it's about taking back control of your attention and being intentional with your time, not letting your devices dictate your actions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now let's shift gears and delve into the final piece of the puzzle, accountability.
Okay.
BYEAJEE dedicates an entire section to the power of perspective and taking ownership of our actions.
I'm really curious to hear his take on this. From what we've discussed so far, he seems to be all about personal responsibility.
Yeah.
Recognizing that we have more control than we often acknowledge.
That's right. He emphasizes that while we tend to fixate on things beyond our control, like market movements, the actions of others, we actually have a significant amount of influence over our own trading and our reactions to the market's twists and turns.
It's easy to fall into the trap of the victim mentality.
Yes.
Blaming the brokers or some grand conspiracy when things go wrong.
That's the blame game, and it's disempowering.
Yeah.
It keeps you stuck in a cycle of negativity and prevents you from learning and growing as a trader.
So what's the antidote to this victim mentality?
Taking ownership, BYEAJEE, encourages us to shift our focus to what we can control.
Okay.
Our entry and exit points, our risk management, our emotional responses.
Okay.
He even offers a visual tool to help us with this, the within my direct control versus beyond my direct control table.
I love this tool. It is so simple but effective for gaining clarity.
It's like drawing a line in the sand between what you can influence and what you can't.
Absolutely.
On one side of the table, you list things you have direct control over. Your trading plan, your stop loss, orders, your mindset, and your emotional responses.
Okay.
On the other side, you list things outside your control. Economic data releases geopolitical events, the whims of other traders.
Yeah, it's a powerful visual reminder to focus your energy and attention on the things you can actually impact.
Precisely, and to further illustrate how our perceptions shape our reality.
Yeah.
BYEAJEE shares a great analogy about two dogs.
Okay.
One happy and one angry.
Okay.
They're both placed in a room full of mirrors.
Okay. I can already see where this is going. Two very different experiences.
Exactly. The happy dog sees a room full of potential playmates.
Right.
While the angry dog sees a room full of threats.
Right.
They're both experiencing the same reality.
Yeah.
But their perceptions create entirely different experiences.
That's brilliant. It highlights how our own beliefs and emotional states color our perception of the market. A fearful trader might see every dip as the beginning of a crash,
Exactly.
while a confident trader might see it as a buying opportunity.
Exactly. It's not just about what's happening in the market,
Right.
but how we interpret and react to those events.
This is where taking ownership of our mental state becomes crucial.
Yes.
We can't control the market, but we can control how we respond to it.
Absolutely. To guide this process of taking ownership.
Yeah.
BYEAJEE outlines his ACT principles, which stand for acknowledge progress and setbacks, commitment to the journey, and take full ownership.
Let's break those down. What does it mean to acknowledge progress and setbacks in the context of trading?
It means celebrating your wins,
Okay.
no matter how small,
Yeah.
while also learning from your losses.
Okay.
It's about maintaining a balanced perspective and recognizing that both success and failure
Yeah.
are inherent parts of the journey.
It sounds like this is where having a trading journal can be incredibly helpful.
A journal allows you to track your progress,
Yeah.
analyze your mistakes, and identify patterns in your behavior that might be holding you back.
Okay, what about commitment to the journey? That sounds like it requires a long-term perspective.
It does. BYEAJEE emphasizes that mastering trading composure is a lifelong pursuit.
Yeah.
It's not something you achieve overnight
Right.
or by simply reading a book.
Yeah.
He shares a Zen story about a young boy learning to draw a perfect circle.
Okay.
The boy keeps practicing, failing, and trying again for years until he finally masters the art.
It's a beautiful metaphor for the journey of self-mastery. It requires dedication, patience, and a willingness to embrace the ups and downs of the process.
Exactly. It reminds us that patience and perseverance are essential for success in any field, but particularly in trading.
Absolutely. And finally, there's take full ownership.
Right.
This seems to be a recurring theme for BYEAJEE.
It is. He stresses that we need to take responsibility for our results,
Okay.
both good and bad.
Yeah.
It's easy to blame external factors when things go wrong.
Yeah.
The market, the brokers, the algorithms.
Right.
But ultimately, we make the decisions.
Yeah.
And we need to own the consequences.
It's about shifting from a victim mentality to an empowered mindset, recognizing that you have agency and can influence your outcomes.
Precisely. And sometimes having a mentor or a coach can be invaluable on this journey.
Yeah.
Someone who can hold you accountable, provide guidance, and help you stay on track when things get tough.
Mm-hmm.
It's like having a personal trainer for your mind, helping you build mental resilience and develop winning habits.
This has been such a rich discussion of BYEAJEE's ideas.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground, his personal journey,
Right.
the distinction between risk and uncertainty, the FACE principle, the role of mindfulness, and the importance of accountability. But I feel like there's still so much to unpack.
There is, but we've laid a solid foundation for understanding his approach to mastering the mental game of trading. Now, before we move on to the final part of our deep dive, I think it would be helpful to share some of the thought-provoking quotes
Yeah.
BYEAJEE includes in his book. They really capture the essence of his message
Okay.
and offer additional food for thought.
That's a great idea. Which quotes resonated most with you?
Let's explore that together. But first, let's take a quick pause to let everything sink in. We'll be back in a moment to continue our exploration of trading composure.
Sounds good.
Welcome back. Let's explore how BYEAJEE actually weaves mindfulness into his trading world.
I'm all ears. And this is where it gets really interesting for me. Like, how do you build that mental resilience to handle all the ups and downs of trading?
Right.
It seems like his whole approach rests on having this unshakable mental foundation.
Absolutely. And he emphasizes that mindfulness should be a daily practice, not something you only turn to when the markets are stressing you out.
So it's about training your mind to be calm and focused even when things are going well.
Right.
Almost like building that mental muscle memory.
Precisely. And BYEAJEE doesn't prescribe like a one-size-fits-all approach to meditation.
Okay.
He recognizes that different styles work for different people.
Right?
Some might prefer inward-focused meditation where you close your eyes and concentrate on your breath or bodily sensations.
That's the classic image of meditation, finding that quiet space, closing your eyes and just breathing.
Right. But BYEAJEE also talks about outward-focused meditation, where you actually keep your eyes open and direct your attention to the external world.
That's a new one for me. What's the benefit of meditating with your eyes open?
It can be especially helpful for those who tend to get lost in their thoughts,
Yeah.
particularly in like high-pressure environments like trading.
Okay.
It helps you to ground yourself in the present moment and observe things more objectively without getting carried away by your internal dialogue.
So it's about finding that balance between being aware of your inner state and what's happening around you.
It's a bit like being in the trading zone.
Exactly. He encourages experimenting to find what works best for you.
Right.
Remember that spider story from earlier?
Yeah.
That was a turning point for BYEAJEE in learning to accept discomfort through mindfulness.
Yeah, let's revisit that. It sounds like a pretty intense experience, even for someone who isn't afraid of spiders.
It was, so picture this. He's on this silent retreat, deep in meditation, and this spider starts crawling up his leg, and his instinct is to totally freak out.
Yeah.
But he forces himself to stay completely still
Wow.
and just observe the spider
Okay.
without reacting.
That takes serious willpower,
I know.
especially given his spider phobia. So what happened next?
He had this realization
Okay.
that his fear was amplifying the entire situation.
Yeah.
The spider itself wasn't inherently dangerous or threatening. It was his perception of it that caused the distress.
So by practicing mindfulness, he detached from that immediate emotional reaction and saw the situation more clearly.
Yes.
And this is such a powerful lesson for traders.
Yeah.
We're constantly facing situations that trigger fear, greed, or doubt.
Right.
Mindfulness helps us to create space between those emotions and our actions,
Yeah.
so we can respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively.
Responding, not reacting, that's a key takeaway.
Right.
So how do we make mindfulness a consistent habit rather than something we only remember when things are really stressful?
YG recommends a simple but effective technique called Don't Break the Chain. Have you ever heard of this?
Oh yes, I love this one. It's so visual and motivating.
Right.
You basically get a calendar and mark off each day. You meditate as that chain of X's grows.
Yeah.
It becomes a powerful incentive to keep going.
Exactly. It's a visual representation of your commitment.
Yeah.
And there's something very satisfying about not breaking that streak.
Yeah.
And it plays on our psychology. We tend to be more motivated by avoiding loss than by achieving gains.
Right.
This technique isn't limited to meditation, though it can be applied to any habit you're trying to build.
I've used it myself with great success.
It's incredibly versatile, and BYEAJEE suggests applying it to trading consistency as well.
That's a great idea. So instead of focusing on whether you won or lost each day,
Right.
you could mark off every day you follow your trading plan and your rules, regardless of the outcome.
Right.
It reinforces that process-oriented mindset he emphasizes.
Precisely. Now, before we move on to accountability,
Yeah.
I want to touch on something BYEAJEE mentions about technology use and how it relates to mindfulness.
This is a big one. I think we're all a bit addicted to our devices these days.
He's not anti-technology, but he cautions against how overuse can impact our mindfulness and attention spans.
Oh.
Think about how often you find yourself mindlessly scrolling through social media
Yeah.
or news feeds. It's become almost an unconscious habit.
It's like a default setting for our brains when we have a few minutes of downtime.
Exactly. But what's happening in those moments, you're essentially training your mind to seek out constant stimulation and instant gratification.
Yeah.
It's like junk food for the brain.
That's a great analogy. It makes sense, and that type of mental conditioning is the opposite of what you need for successful trading.
Exactly.
Trading requires patience, discipline, and the ability to delay gratification.
It does. So he's advocating for more conscious technology use,
Okay.
particularly when it comes to trading. He suggests setting limits, creating boundaries, and being mindful of how technology is impacting your mental state.
It's about finding a healthy balance.
Right.
It's about taking back control of your attention and being intentional with your time, not letting your devices dictate your actions.
Exactly. Now let's shift gears and delve into the final piece of the puzzle, accountability.
Okay.
BYEAJEE dedicates an entire section to the power of perspective and taking ownership of our actions.
Welcome back, and ready to wrap up our deep dive into trading composure. I always find this part so satisfying. It's like taking all these insightful concepts and distilling them into something we can actually apply in our own trading.
It's about extracting those aha moments that can make a real difference in how we approach the markets.
Exactly. So you mentioned some thought-provoking quotes from BYEAJEE's book.
Yes, I did.
Which ones stood out to you?
Well, this one from Warren Buffett really struck me. The fact that people will be full of greed, fear, or folly is predictable. The sequence is not predictable.
That's such a powerful statement, especially coming from someone like Buffett.
Right.
It acknowledges that emotions drive markets, but it also highlights the challenge of perfectly timing those emotional swings.
It reminds us that even the most successful investors don't have a crystal ball.
Right.
They understand human behavior, but they can't predict the precise sequence of events.
Yeah.
And it reinforces BYEAJEE's emphasis on focusing on what we can control: our process, our risk management, and our own mindset.
So it's about embracing the fact that markets will always have an element of randomness no matter how much analysis we do. We need to be prepared for that and have a plan to navigate those inevitable ups and downs.
Precisely. And this next quote from Zen teacher Shinzen Young really speaks to the power of mindfulness in a way that resonates deeply with BYEAJEE's approach.
Okay, there is no such thing as a problem without a gift for you in its hands. You seek problems because you need their gifts.
That's a profound way of looking at challenges. It's like flipping the script and seeing obstacles as opportunities for growth and learning.
It aligns perfectly with BYEAJEE's personal story.
Hmm.
He transformed his experiences with loss and adversity into valuable lessons that shaped his approach to both trading and life.
It's about turning pain into wisdom, which isn't easy, but it's incredibly powerful.
Absolutely. And finally, this quote from Stephen Covey beautifully sums up the importance of accountability. Accountability breeds responsibility.
That's so true. When we take ownership of our actions and choices, we become more empowered to make changes and create the results we want.
It shifts us from a passive role to an active one.
Yeah.
And this leads to an important question for you, dear listener. Where do you need to take more ownership in your trading journey?
That's a powerful prompt for self-reflection.
It challenges us to look honestly at our own behaviors and identify areas where we can step up and take more responsibility.
Exactly. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I encourage you to explore BYEAJEE's book further. It's full of practical insights and exercises that can help you cultivate that unshakable trading composure we've been discussing.
It's a valuable resource for anyone who wants to improve their mental game and approach the markets with more clarity, confidence, and resilience.
And remember, the principles we've discussed extend far beyond trading. They're about developing a mindset that can help you navigate the uncertainties of life with more grace and peace.
That's a great point. These are life skills, not just trading skills. It's about taking those lessons from the market and applying them to all areas of our lives.
So as you continue on your trading journey and your life journey, remember this final thought from Warren Buffett. The fact that people will be full of greed, fear, or folly is predictable. The sequence is not predictable.
How can you apply this wisdom not just to your trading, but to how you approach the world, how you make decisions, and how you navigate the inevitable uncertainties that life throws your way?
We'll leave you to ponder that. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into trading composure. We hope you found it insightful and empowering. Until next time, happy trading, and may you find the composure and clarity you seek.
Happy trading of...